So that leads on to the hearing, and then the Board of Inquiry makes its draft decision. And the nice thing about that, I think, is that it makes a draft decision, and then it gives all the submitters 20 working days to review that decision and see if there are if they've got any comments on it. And for example, a decision may need to be tweaked a bit to make it a little more practical or something like that. So that's the point of the going from the draft decision to the final decision, and then there are only appeals relating to points of law. So it's reasonably fast, and I guess the important thing about this process is that you really need to have all of the information up front at the beginning. It's a fast process, but if everyone's got the information and everyone can use a friend of the submitter type process to help them make their submission, then it goes smoothly. So that's one, and so I guess also in relation to being comprehensive, both of these projects have already been consulted on. They've been out there in the public. I think East West Link's been consulted on with the public a couple of times, and for the Northern Corridor, it's in its second round at the moment, and that closes on Friday. So our local boards will have been informed about it. Our local councillors, I think, will have been informed about it. So it's really trying to make sure all of the concerns are brought together before they even lodge, which is later in the year. So the next point there really sort of looks at the differences between the council process and the Board of Inquiry process, and really the Board of Inquiry one does give greater certainty of timing, and particularly with some large projects, infrastructure projects, where there might be funding available, the certainty of timing helps the business case, helps the process of doing some of these projects potentially faster. A council process, and even an Environment Court direct referral one, has less certainty about the timing of the decision. Yeah, so those are the key differences there. I guess the other point is that through the Board of Inquiry process, the council is much more able to be a submitter at the hearing, and in the past we have been quite active submitters to the Board of Inquiry process. So the next question is, why would it be referred to the Board of Inquiry? And there are 10 criteria there, and you've got them in the report and in your in your handout PowerPoint. So there are ones like arousing widespread public concern, and certainly the consultation has aroused quite a lot of interest in both of these areas. Involves significant use of natural and physical resources. In the case of the Northern Corridor, it's probably more about physical resources, in that we're really looking at motorway alterations, but some environmental changes as well. And the East-West Corridor is similar in that there's both processes, or both resources being looked at. Affects structure, feature and place of national significance. Well, I think that in particular in the East-West area, there's some areas of national significance. And
what are they?
Well, I think it probably relates to the harbour itself. However, we'll get to that one. All right. Affects New Zealand's international obligations to the global environment, and that's all about, I think, using, in this case, better use of energy, and both projects, I think, have significant improvements in walking and cycling around those areas, which is a help, and also more efficient use of transport to get people and goods from one place to the next. Next one is the significant or irreversible changes to the environment, and there are changes around changing some water bodies in the north, and also around the harbour. I think some reclamation there. Involves technology, processes which are new. I don't know whether there's too many new processes there. I think both areas have significant sites in relation to our treaty obligations, and assisting the Crown to fulfil various obligations there, in particular welfare, security, safety. Certainly both of them are looking for much greater safety as transport projects. While they don't affect more than one region, we're such a big region that that you probably wouldn't expect that, but certainly...
Smallest region in the country, Warren.
Well...
Hey, councillors, can we just get to the end of the presentation, and Warren
Very
just...
significant.
Yep, we'll just
Right.
carry on.
Now, where was I? Relates to utility operation that extends to more than one. I guess you might say that some of these motorway type developments extend certainly to our northern neighbours as well, so it's part of that broader area. So, I think I've covered most, but a summary of the council roles within a Board of Inquiry process, because I think you're familiar with the council ones. One, we provide views now to decide whether the matters of national significance, and we may provide our views on potential members of the Board of Inquiry. We provide a written report on the key issues to consider. As I've said, it's very helpful that the council can be a submitter in its own right, and in the past we've joined together with the local board or boards so that that can happen. And finally, of course, we're the manager of the resource consents and the processor of the outline plan of works later on when the decision is made. So that's the process. Would it be helpful to talk through any questions on that, and then we'll look at each individual project, or how would you like?
I think we can just do the whole presentation, Warren. I think it's pretty full and clear. I think most people have got a reasonable knowledge about the process, and I'm sure at the end, if there are questions, we'll take them. Okay,
so the first one that I'll take you through with a couple of slides is the Northern Corridor, and you've got quite a lot of information there on it within your report, and you'll see that it's in the area basically going from Constellation, or just south of Constellation Drive, right up to the Albany Park and Ride. And the key part of it, or there's several key parts of it, I think, really it's extending the busway, which is an excellent thing for the North Shore, and as well as that, it's providing a link, a more connected link from the State Highway 18, which is the Upper Harbour Highway, and going through to the north onto State Highway 1. So that gives much better connection there. And it's really it's really the last part of the whole Western Ring Route one. So it will mean being able to go from the Manukau area through adjacent to the airport, up through the Waterview Tunnel, and up to the west across the Upper Harbour Bridge, and along that State Highway 18 with a good connection straight on to the State Highway 1. So that's really the key for it. So you'll see that ring route shown there. So that's quite a strategic route. In the longer term, it's intended that there will also be, or this includes route protection for going from State Highway 18 southbound onto the motorway, but it's not part of this at the moment. There's also a number of cycleways and walkways. As the as the busway gets built, so NZTA are also looking at building a new station, so that will be good as well. So that's the overall project. And all of those that I've just talked about, yeah, some additional lanes and some roading network improvements. So there'll also be a cycleway which goes from that Constellation Drive area out to out along on the northern side of Upper Harbour Drive, which will join up at the Albany Highway as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions now on that one, or do we want to finish the entire east-west presentation as well?
Okay, why don't we just deal with this one? It's been moved and seconded. I think this is possibly more straightforward. Remembering that today, I think as you put in one of your slides, this is just the process discussion, not the detail. So it's been moved and seconded. Councillor Walker?
So under the Board of Inquiry process, what's the length of time we're looking at here for approvals? Roughly.
So it's from when they lodge it, 9 months.
Okay. Other question I've got is that in this area there are, I understand, a significant number of local businesses that are affected. A number of these, most of them are very well established businesses. Given the very tight availability of alternatives in the North Harbour area, is there consideration and a process that's underway to assist in relocating businesses? I mean, in some instances, business may have to be bought out as a going concern.
Oh, sorry, Councillor, you asking about how the construction time will be managed? Because I don't think we can make any reasonable comment on that. We're simply saying, let's look at the process by which the decision will be made. That's all we're being asked to do. We have none of that information available to us. More people here who can answer that question.
I think the issue that I'm raising is, we've heard that we're looking about a 9-month process. You're talking about significant and substantial businesses that are being impacted in this area. So I'm just really putting on the table that this is a very significant project affecting businesses in the area.
Yep, sure. No, I think that's well understood. Okay, any other questions? Councillor Ward?
This project's been on the books for some time now, and it's a comprehensive project that New Zealand Transport Agency have now engaged in, and I think that the fact that it is going to go to a Board of Inquiry will be good news for the businesses in the North Harbour area, because the businesses in the North Harbour area are screaming out for this work to happen, and it'll also mean that Councillor Webster will have a free run from the Albany bus station down the new busway. So, and also there'll be a bus station at Rosedale Road, which has been wanted for some time. So all this is it's comprehensive for this project, and includes the overpass at Paul Matthews Road or Drive, which is also very important for the North Harbour. So 9 months, it's far better than like we have at the busway, drawn out with Environment Court hearings and other things which take forever. Thank you.
Okay, so that's been moved and seconded. Councillor Davey?
Thanks. Look, I support this process going to the Board of Inquiry like my colleague from the North Shore, but I do point out that we've got some work to do in making our submission. Currently the design alienates a lot of the North Shore, and I'm referring to the on-ramps that have a preference for north to west flows rather than west to south, and connecting them with the middle and lower North Shore. I'm delighted to see the Ministry and NZTA respond to my correspondence and that of others to push the busway out to Albany. I acknowledge Auckland Transport too for the work that they've been doing to confirm the location of the Rosedale station, and that will link in a much bigger catchment. But I think my main point is there is a lot more work for us to do between now and the Board of Inquiry. There are significant gaps in this. There are quite big implications for our land holdings and recreational facilities like North Harbour, hockey, etc. So there's a way to go on this, as there is on the next one, which we'll come to now.